And so few of us will ever walk on the moon. But even the little children here can walk with God. The walk on the moon did not change my life. The walk with Jesus has changed my life.
So I want to talk about, I'm probably going to have to skip a few slides, and I'll tell Nick, but it's going to be a little bit different just because I want to talk about something different. So I want to talk about something that I'm sure everybody has heard in the news, right? Afghanistan. Has everybody heard about Afghanistan? All right. So you can go ahead and put that first one, changes and unknowns. That's one of the that I'm going to talk about. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that this come up. So what happened is the United States, I don't know exactly how it come about. That's all political jargon. But the United States decided to pull all of the troops out of Afghanistan, leaving all of the equipment and some personnel. And we've been there for like 20 years, since 2001.
Creepy.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't know.
By yourself, Saturday night, in the dark, that happens. So essentially what has happened is the Taliban, who has been fighting in Afghanistan trying to take it over, now has taken it over officially in the capital of Kabul. And so there's a lot of, for real unknowns. I follow a guy, I won't reveal his name, but he posted a video. He lives over there, and he's a missionary over there. And he is getting personal reports from people of their friends that are missionaries saying that they have an estimated roughly 2 weeks that they are thinking they're going to stay alive. Okay, because they are guessing that the Taliban is going to come in and kill all Bible-believing Christians. Right? This is legit. It's not like good news cover. Like this is boots on the ground over there information. And so it's real, and it's really happening. So changes, unknowns, and nervous or afraid, Nick, would be the incredibly accurate, on point talking bullet for this kind of situation. And it's real, guys. It's not like, fake news. Like, it's real. It's actually happening. They're actually giving like women away to the fighters in the Taliban to do what they want to with them. Like, it's that kind of. It's not like, oh, they're fighting and they're bad. Like, no, it's like the purest, finest ingredients of evil. Like, that's the only way I can describe it. It is pure evil. Like gold is pure. It's just pure evil. There's nothing good about it. So. Be praying for everything going over there. Nobody knows what's next. Nobody over there knows what's next. There's a video of people on the plane trying to fly away, and they got on the plane hanging onto the wings, and they were falling to their death because they knew the Taliban was going to kill them. It's that kind of serious. So it's reminiscent of like 2001 when I was in school and saw the Twin Towers hit. It's like, oh my gosh, this is like, we're back to terrorism. So, and I know for us over here, it's easy to just be like, well, I'll pray for them. But, we need to understand that it's out there and it's real, and that you guys grow up in a fairly sheltered and soft life. I'm not trying to pick on you, but we do. I mean, not that you don't have a bad life, but when you're to the point in your life where you're hanging onto an airplane wing because you know you're going to get killed by the Taliban, that's another type of life, right? And so, and not out of like one, building hit and people are jumping off the top of the Twin Towers. Like, that if you stayed where that plane was left, you're going to die either way. So you might as well fly up in the air and jump off and die that way, right? I don't know. So just be mindful of that and be praying for them because it's real. And we'll talk about something a little bit more light in this next slide, the Israelites. Okay? Now, the Israelites had a lot of changes going on in their life. in the early book of the Old Testament in Numbers, right? So if you got your Bible, please turn to what book? Numbers. I'll give you a hint. It's one of the first 5 books of the Bible.
It comes after Leviticus.
Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. Okay? Now I want to read a little bit, and then we're going to continue on. All right, so this is speaking direct. Now, this is what I want to do. They isn't very descriptive. All right, so this is in chapter 13. And what I'm going to do is read a little bit in chapter 13 in the beginning. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Send men to scout out the land of Canaan I am giving to the Israelites. Send one man who is a leader among them from each of their ancestral tribes." Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran at the Lord's command. All the men were leaders in Israel. And then it lists their names. I'm not going to go through all that. Now, so they went, right? One from each tribe. How many tribes is there? How many tribes are there of Israel? 12. There's 12. Okay, there's 12 tribes. Now, we're going to start in verse 26. That says 27, but I'll just start in verse 26. The men who went to Canaan to see the promised land that God had told them. This is after all the desert travel and Moses striking the stick and the manna and the quail and all that. Okay? The men, who were young men, by the way, not much older than you guys, the men went back to Moses and Aaron and the entire Israelite community in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back a report for them and the whole community, and they showed them the fruit of the land. So they brought back fruit, like, hey, here's an apple, whatever it was. They reported to Moses, okay? They reported to Moses this account. "We went into the land to which you sent us, and it does flow with milk and honey. Here is its fruit, but the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified," meaning very strong and very large. Okay? Now, here's the thing. 10 bad, 2 good. Everybody say that. 10 bad, 2 good. There was 10 bad spies. This is what they were saying. They said, but. Never say but with God, right? Unless it's but God did something for you. Never say but to God. That's better said. Never say but to God. But the people who live there are powerful, so they feared them. But 2 guys, Joshua and Caleb. You ever notice how there's a lot of Joshua and Caleb's in this world, but not a whole lot of Hoshea or Palti or Gadiel or Amiel or, yeah, exactly. Because those men were killed. The 10 spies who were bad spies, and spies in a good way, not like espionage, but spies like that went into the land of Canaan. They were killed because of their unbelief and their faith in the Lord. But Joshua and Caleb had the faith. Then they said to the entire Israelites, "The land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, He will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and He will give it to us." Now, isn't that a lot different from the verse before? Yeah, because Joshua and Caleb are saying, of course the Lord will give it to us. All right? Now, you can go home, and if you start in verse 13, if you go home and read this, and read the whole story, it makes a lot more sense, but I am paraphrasing because it's, So, and this is, I'll say this. In verse 29, the Amalekites are living in the land. The Hittites, the Jebusites, the Amorites live in the hill country, and the Canaanites live by the sea, and along the Jordan. Then Caleb quieted the people in the presence of Moses and said, "Let us go up now and take possession of the land, because we can certainly conquer it." Okay? They had faith. They had confidence in God. They didn't have confidence in themselves. They had confidence in God because there was giants in this land. Okay? Back then there was giants. Imagine like a bunch of shacks, right? Giants, real giants. I think, if I remember correctly, Goliath was about 9 foot and something tall. That's a giant, y'all. I don't know if y'all have ever seen somebody tall like Shaq. I am 6 foot. Shaq would be another foot higher than me. Okay? That's gigantic. And then 9 feet is almost to the ceiling. That's a human being standing there. That's a giant. Everybody thinks like boom, boom, like Jolly Green Giant, you know, the peas in the commercial. Ho, ho, ho. You know the commercial, guys. All right. Yeah, Green Giant. Ho, ho, ho. But they're evil. That's the thing, is they're evil. All right, next slide, please, with the verse. Is anybody in Numbers in their Bible? You? Good. Thank you. We're going to skip over to Numbers 14, verses 7 through 9. Now, this is also Caleb and Joshua speaking. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. If that is not a prophetic message for the people in Afghanistan right now, I do not know what is. Do not be afraid of the Taliban. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord is with us. Their protection is gone. The Lord is with us. Period. And the Lord is with those people. I've heard great things coming out, actually, that some of the Taliban were actually reading the Bible and talking to people in those communities they controlled. Small story, but you don't hear that on the news. You know why? Because it's not good, fun news, right? It's got to be bad. Bad news. Bad news only. Bad news bears, okay? Do not be afraid of them. This was 2,000, actually this was close to 4,000 years ago. And it's still essential and meaningful in this day and age. But the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. Do not be afraid of anything in your life, okay? I know I kind of pinpointed like straight up persecution of the Christian church. But do not be afraid of anything in your life, because what happened with those 10 spies is they saw something. They were like, oh my gosh, no, look how bad it is, right? Think of fear like this. A person beside you is fear, right? You have to cross a bridge. The person is tethered to you, but they will walk when you walk, right? So if the fear walks with you as you're crossing the bridge, once you get to the other side of the bridge, you realize you actually walked with the fear, but it did not consume you and it did not prevent you from crossing the bridge. Does that make sense? So think of holding hands with fear and saying, come on, buddy, I know you're going to be here. You ain't leaving. Your fear is going to be there. Anybody ever fear going off the blob at Camp Dayspring? Yeah, especially when me and Leighton are going to, flew, there she goes. I'm sorry, Mercedes, that I ever did that. She went about a good solid 30 feet. True story. 100% true story. Oh, goodness. All right, back to it. It's about trusting and choosing to follow God even though we're scared, right? Back to holding hands with fear. Guess who's on the other side? God. God's like, I know that you have fear, but I'm here too. Hold his hand and hold my hand. We're all going to go together. And I'll show you that fear is conquered by me. Okay? Does that make sense? That's a great analogy that literally just popped in my brain. ADD is a drug, and it just exposed itself, okay? God is bigger than anything in the unknown. Okay? Gosh, that's awesome. That's just, God is bigger than anything in the unknown. Okay? He's bigger than what's going on in Afghanistan. He actually knows exactly what's going to happen in Afghanistan and in the future. He knows it. He's planned it. He knows what's going to happen. But he's bigger than that. Okay? He's to be glorified higher than what's going on right now. That's why I said the one thing you should fear is God. You shouldn't even fear death. You should invite death. Not like suicide, but invite death of, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. A great example was my old youth pastor when I was really young. Younger than y'all, actually. I was probably 6, 7. And he died of cancer very early, probably late 30s. And obviously I was in a hospital, but his family was in the hospital with him. And they were like crying, telling the story. And they were like, he was just like he was just okay with it. Like there was no fear. And he was just like, I know where I'm going. I know I'm saved. I know that I've served the Lord to my greatest capacity that I have. And I'm okay with it. And they like held hands, and like I guess it was a beautiful moment of how beautiful you can get for dying. But, and they healed from it because he was okay. He didn't fear it. It wasn't like, oh my God, so many memories we could have made. And it's like, no, it's okay. Like, I know where I'm going. I'm going to see you guys there, right? And it was great. So, some practical things we can do to help get over that fear, whatever it may be in your life, is first recognize what you're afraid of. All right, you have to know what it is. If you're afraid of pooping your pants on a roller coaster, you probably shouldn't eat oatmeal for breakfast. Okay? Cheese and meat. All right, for roller coaster day. Ask me how I know. Number 2, focus on God. Right? After you eat cheese and meat that morning, open your Bible up and focus on God. Seriously, focus on God. That's it. Like, do you think the people in Afghanistan right now are focused on, like, if their tire's going to go flat? No. They're focused on God. God, come comfort me. God, please be with me. God, I don't know what to do. Right? That's what they're doing right now. They've got number 1 down. Now they're on number 2. All right? So, these are 2 things. Like, that's it. That's all you need. Recognize what you're afraid of. If you have a fear in your life, you feel like holding you back, and then focus on God. Okay? All right. And God is bigger than anything in the unknown. Period, guys. Period. That's it. There's more that we're going to go over. Can you go all the way to the last slide? Is that the last slide? Okay. Why y'all looking back there? That's my prompt. Yeah, so what's one change you feel nervous or scared about? That's what I want you guys to talk about in small group, because it's legit. Now, it may be like, I'm nervous that I want to proclaim Christ over my life and call myself a Christian, because you may have not done that yet. And if you're scared that you haven't done that yet, don't be scared that you're just going to die on the way home, because God's sovereign. And if you make a decision, the decision's done. Okay. But don't do it out of fear. I did that my whole life when I was a kid. Do it out of Jesus' grace, because you desire him. Okay. Does that make sense? So if you desire, or you fear not having a relationship with him, talk about it, okay? But don't do it out of fear, like, I don't want to go to hell, so I'm going to just get saved. It's like you're just going to do somebody's homework because they said you would fail. Like, no, you need to learn the material to pass, right? So, what's one change you feel nervous or scared about?